I am Tyrion, heir of Angerrial.
This is Matt here, and today we've got another quick guide, this time for Tyrion on Legendary difficulty in the Mortal Empires campaign. This guide will just show you how to take Angerrial in one turn using the boat trick. I don't know if it's got another name, but it's called the boat trick. And also show you how to take Eataine in 4 turns. You could take it in 3 turns if you had a bit more money, or if you didn't upgrade Lothern on the first turn, but I'll just show you how to do it in 4 turns anyway. I'll just quickly explain the boat trick. So normally you can't come ashore next to an enemy city that's on the coast, because that enemy city's zone of control will cover that area around the coast, and so you can't move into that zone of control. Now you can attack into a zone of control, and so that's pretty much how the boat trick works. Basically, you move onto shore exactly where the enemy town is, and that ends your movement. But because you're so close to the enemy town, it'll still actually let you attack the enemy town, even though you've got no movement left. And then there's some other sort of variations on the boat trick. You can use it for different situations. Well, you might have been in a situation where there's 2 or 3 enemy armies at the shoreline, like on an island or something, and basically you can attack onto shore and attack them, but then it's going to be your 1 army against their 3, and you've got other armies, but you can't get them into reinforce because you can only get onto shore by attacking them. So if there's an enemy city nearby, though, you can move on to shore, attack the enemy city, and then move another of your troops onto shore and attack an enemy. Or you can move the one to attack a city and then make it retreat, and then move another one of your armies onto the enemy city and attack it and retreat, and you can basically stack up armies that way, and then finally do your attack and get reinforced from all your armies. The standard type of boat trick. So if we moved around via land to Angerrial, we wouldn't quite be able to make it. So we move into the water instead. You have to move quite close through the water until you get very close to Angerrial, otherwise it'll keep trying to path back around onto the land. Then once you get close enough, you target Angerrial, and then you'll actually move onto land to attack, but you'll run out of movement. You won't be able to make it in time. But then you'll still be able to actually attack it even though you don't have any movement because you're so close. It only works if you're in exactly the right spot, so sometimes in some situations you won't be able to make it, but this is one of the ones where you can. There you go, congrats, you made it to Angerrial and initiate battle in 1 turn. And your reward is a really hard battle. So good luck with that. I'll show you a few tips that helped me win it. I set up on the left side, and I bring out my noble, my chariot, and my Silverhelms to use first, and I keep the rest in reserve.
For duty.
I use my noble to waste all the ammunition. First waste the ammunition of the shades that are hidden sort of to the left of center, and then 1 by 1 sort of, or 2 by 2, waste the ammunition of all the dark shards. I find you take too much damage if you try to waste the ammo of the dark shards and the shades at the same time. I actually find it pretty hard to do without taking a lot of damage on the noble, so he got pretty wrecked, but maybe you can do better, but yeah, he did his job anyway. Next you bring up your Silverhelms and your chariot. You can use your chariot to sort of charge in and then sort of try to draw out some of the enemy infantry. Once you've managed to isolate a unit, you can charge them with your chariots. They shouldn't take too much damage. And then you can actually use your Silverhelms to charge in and destroy the unit. Now the Silverhelms usually aren't very good against anything, even archers, but if you attack the enemy while they're disrupted and they're not in formation, the Silverhelms will take no damage and they'll do a huge amount of damage to the enemy. And they're actually really effective in this very specific situation. And just keep isolating 1 unit at a time with your chariots, charge in and out of the unit with your chariots to make sure that they're disrupted. As you get your Silverhelms ready to charge, make sure the Silverhelms charge while the unit's sort of strung out and not in any sort of formation. If they're in that completely loose formation, the Silverhelms will just penetrate right through them and wipe them out. You just keep doing it over and over again, trying to stay away from the enemy spearmen, because they have anti-large, and just do as much damage as you can with the chariot and the Silverhelms before eventually finishing off the battle with your archer and the rest of the archers and the rest of your units. Obviously just try to keep your archers out of combat so they can keep firing the whole time. Once your chariot and your Silverhelms are too damaged to kind of be risked in combat too much, just use them to follow up and destroy anything that routes. so make sure it doesn't come back. Yeah, from there you should be able to win the battle.
Assure, warrior.
And there you go, you've conquered Angerrial on one turn. Then you just want to recruit 3 more units with Tyrion's army. If you want to take Eataine in 3 turns, you have to recruit a lord on turn 1 and then another lord on turn 2. So you'd recruit a lord at Angerrial on turn 1 and then recruit another one at Lothern on turn 2. But in this example, I'm just going to recruit the 1 lord at Lothern. You should actually wait till turn 2 to save some money, but I accidentally recruited on turn 1. Then just choose your technologies, do your diplomacy, and end the turn. Make sure you upgrade Lothern on the first turn, unless you want to try to go for the 3-turn Eataine conquer and you need the extra money, in which case you could not build Lothern on the first turn and use it to recruit an extra lord. Turn 2, you move Tyrion as close as you can back towards Lothern, so that he can attack Tower of Lycian next turn, or at least reinforce. You actually initiate the attack with your other lord. In this example, I use Force March to go on land. It's actually better if you use the boat trick again to go back into the water, then go as close as you can to Lothern and then come back onto land right next to Lothern. Recruit 3 more units of archers with your newly recruited lord near Lothern, and do your technology again and end the turn. Turn 3, move Tyrion as close as you can to the Tower of Lycian. You should be able to get into reinforcement range, and then move up your other lord with your 3 other units and initiate the battle with that lord.
Magic in purest form. Limitless time.
In this battle, I set up in the corner closest to where Tyrion is going to reinforce from. Set up a corner camp there with your archers and infantry units. I won't go into too much detail about this battle because the video is getting kind of long, but basically I brought out my chariot and Silverhelms cavalry again, tried to isolate and harass some of the units on their way in, but I didn't get much time because the enemy actually attacked me and charged towards me across the battlefield. Yeah, once the enemy engaged, tried to keep them off my archers with my infantry as per usual infantry, and using my heroes to tank. I actually completely forgot to use my mage. I specifically took a healing mage as my secondary lord, and I could have been doing damage and healing my heroes throughout the battle, but I forgot. So this will probably be a lot easier for you if you also take a healing mage and use their AoE damage ability and their healing. But as it was, I managed to win the battle anyway. Because the enemy charged towards me, I didn't have time to sort of isolate and pick off units one by one, so I just used the Silverhelms and the chariots to cycle charge their archers, which kept their archers occupied and stopped them from moving into range of my line, so sort of split their army in 2, so the rest of my forces could deal with their infantry, while the chariot and Silverhelm disrupted and kept their archers away from the main line.
Silverhelms, apace.
Again with the Silverhelms, trying to use that tactic of first charging with the chariot to disrupt and spread out the enemy units so they're not in any sort of formation, and then coming in and crushing with the Silverhelms. They'll do the really fast damage to them, but only if they're not in formation and they're all scattered. Yeah, then you've taken the Tower of Lycian on turn 3. You can then hire another lord before you end the turn, and then on turn 4 that lord will be able to go from Angerrial to the Shrine of Asurian to complete the conquering of Eataine. As I said, you can do it in 3 turns, but you need a bit of extra money from somewhere to hire a lord on both turn 1 and turn 2. So yeah, I'm just maybe it's nothing too amazing or anything. I just wanted to share that little boat trick, just in case anyone didn't know that you can actually sometimes attack the you can attack coastal settlements even if you sort of wouldn't normally have the movement. Plus you can sort of use coastal settlements to come ashore if normally enemy zone of control would be blocking you there. Yeah, Silverhelms can actually be sort of useful if you use a high mass unit to just break up the enemy formation and sort of run through them and string them out, and then the Silverhelms come in and do some really nice damage and don't sort of take any damage themselves really. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this little guide. If you're interested in checking out any of my other like 3-4 turn sort of guides, I'll probably be doing some videos about confederations and stuff. Please check out my channel, and if you want to be notified about future videos, you can hit the subscribe button. And that's about all I got. Thanks guys.